All right. Welcome to another episode of Woodward Tigers here at woodwardsports.com. I'm Rogelio Castillo. Alongside me is Uper and John. Chris will be hopefully along shortly. Last week, he situation where he was putting his son in his bed. He was putting his son to bed and then just zonked out. So, but hopefully it's not the case. He's probably getting some minor league clips right now as the SeaWolves right now are up 8. I believe it was 8-2 last time I checked. And the case, he's probably getting some minor league clips right now as the SeaWolves.
I bet.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to say that in. And then I was going to start the show with this. For those who are maybe, if anybody's watching us on YouTube, if anybody can get this song without looking it up. All right, I think we have too much of a young demographic. I mean, this song came out before I was, a couple years before I was even born. But Queen Elizabeth passed away today as she spent, what was it, 76 years?
76 years on the throne. Yes.
Yeah. Christopher, good to see you too on YouTube live. So if you're joining us on Woodward Tigers or on Tiger Mining Report, thank you for watching and thank you for participating. Yeah, so John did a quick story on Woodward Sports. The closest that she ever came here was Windsor because she is the House of Windsor, I believe. And that's all the Queen talk we're going to talk about because, quite frankly, it's unfortunate, but she lived a good long life, lived on the public trough, and away we go. So. But, plenty to get to, though. The SeaWolves right now, as we're doing a playoff watch across the Tigers minor league system, and Tigers might be out of the playoffs, but doesn't mean that the Erie SeaWolves are not, as we're doing some scoreboard watching right now. They are Bowie, which is the team that they're tied with, is up 6-3 over Richmond. And right now the SeaWolves are up as, there we go. Chris is joining us now. Hey, Chris.
What's up?
So we got the whole Brady Bunch square thing going tonight.
Yeah. What's up, Chris?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you,
Chris is
John?
Nice to meet you.
So John, Chris, what'd you say? Your mic's kind of little.
I was there's a bunch of racial slurs, and then no, I just said hi, John. Nice to meet you. Sorry.
Okay. So it's a final in Erie. They win 9-2. Reese Olson set the club record for strikeouts in the first inning. That was a record that stood since 1999, which was the first year that Erie went in Double-A. So congratulations to him. West Michigan and Great Lakes in a wild one right now, 7-6, bottom of the eighth. West Michigan with 2 runners on, or just had 2 runners on. And Chris, that was a back and forth game. Great Lakes stormed back on that, right? They scored 4 in the 6.
Yeah, the Getter Montero had a no-hitter with 4 walks through 5 innings, and then they brought in Trevin Michael, who gave up 2 hits immediately, and then gave up a go-ahead grand slam. But then the Whitecaps stormed back. It was one of the wilder things you'll ever see. Danny Soretti hit a double. Pacheco walked. Danny Soretti hit a double to tie it, and then Justice Bigby hit what appeared to be a single off the wall that scored Soretti. He got thrown out at second. So the broadcast, they went to what they do. They went to a guy singing Sweet Caroline. It's like dueling pianos night there at LMCU ballpark.
Yeah.
So they had him sing the whole thing. And they were doing like air guitar camera. And you come back and Dan Hasty's talking about how Justice Bigby had hit a 2-run homer. They overruled it and said it was a 2-run homer. So Bigby had to run the bases with nobody else on the field. Then they brought the teams both back on the field. So, yeah, it was an unusual one.
Yeah, Christopher, we agree with you on that because we went to go. First and foremost, thank you to I don't want to forget this. Thanks to the Gregs, Coleman and Gagne, the entire Erie SeaWolves staff, Elena and Jason, who Jason cracked me up the entire weekend. Those two work in the box office, in the broadcasting booth area, the press box, and they put together the presentation. They do the graphics. Really good young kids. I sound weird when I say that, but it's true. They are exceptional, and they also can have a few pops. They had a few sodas with us, and so. But no, seriously, both Gregs were Gagne great time, great organization. I chose the wrong I chose Super 8 instead of Motel 6, and I'm not kidding, folks. My bed looked like a murder scene. I will show you the picture. I'm dead serious. I am not afraid to admit this, and it's something that I will haunt your nightmares. So John, I know you were talking about maybe going to Erie with us, but be glad you didn't. Because
why?
Well, you'll see why here in a second as soon as I find it. But
Okay.
no, one of those things where it was first and foremost, Bowie might have like one. You know, you look at their batting average. If you look at them based off box score, you might say to yourself, "Man, this team can't hit." Well, that's ridiculous because they were able to get hits at timely manner. They were just anything. They just were all the outs were tough and back and forth. You could tell that there was attention too. There was a lot of chirping. Chris, would you say it's fair there were a lot of chirping back and forth between dugouts?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very tense series. There were, it's Double-A umpiring, so not everything's going to be satisfactory to these coaches. And yeah, and it was the weirdest thing because Sunday was the absolute must-win game, right, for Erie. They were down 3-2 in the series. The teams, I haven't checked what Bowie did tonight. I assume they won just because of how it's been going. But Erie had taken a lead, and Bowie's manager, or who was it? I don't remember who it was. It was Brendan White, I think, hit a Bowie player, and Bowie's manager's just absolutely lost it. And I don't know exactly why. I don't know if he just wanted the pitcher tossed because, but it wasn't like it was. Erie was leading by 1 run in the 8th inning in a game they absolutely had to win. I don't think they're going to lead off the inning by intentionally hitting the guy. So, it was. But yeah, I mean, it was a classic meltdown. He yelled at every ump there was, kicked the dirt on the plate, kicked his hat, threw his gum. But yeah, in the end, Erie was able to earn the split, and they have the tiebreaker. So just got to keep playing decent baseball. Tonight was their first. Like their offense has just been super. I don't know, tentative, just not there the last couple of games, but they broke out tonight, which was good to see.
Yeah, and especially too, with the one thing about that before, I think it was the day before, the ump had to warn the Bowie bench at some point too, and that was they went back and forth, and like again, even with Gabe, I think Gabe Alvarez handled it pretty well too, and we had a chance to talk to him again. Also, huge thanks to Gabe Alvarez. We sat there and talked to him for a half hour. Nothing. I mean, just totally. I didn't want to. Chris thought of it. Chris made the wise decision to say, "Hey, let's maybe not film it. Let's just have like a good conversation." And we could have probably talked for longer if he had not had stuff to do, and we didn't want to take up too much of his time. So gracious to him, who, by the way, he is up and coming manager. He got a consideration for Erie's Eastern League Manager of the Year. Was it or no, Baseball America up and coming manager, right?
Nice.
Yeah, which is voted by the other managers, so that they view him as the best kind of managerial prospect in the Eastern League, which is, I think you got to take that as an honor, right?
Definitely, you should. I mean, it's something that we're considering it too. And Brian Pena also won some hardware with that as well. Brian Pena won some. Josh Crouch, best defensive catcher in the Midwest League, and he also proved that on the field tonight. He went 3 for 4 in the game tonight.
Let's see.
I think it was something like that effect I saw. But here's a crime scene, by the way. So everybody So John, look at this.
Okay.
Sweet.
Oh, what
How do I think that comforter is?
Dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that about a 12-year-old comforter, maybe 15?
I think that was. I don't know how old the comforter is, but then if you point, look at that. Look at the blood spots.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at that right there.
That's really nice.
Yeah. That's
So I'm taking it you didn't do Priceline.com.
No, what it was is that so I did the last 2 weeks I've had a headache, sinus headache or some sort of allergy related headache for the last 2 weeks. And I could take all the picture, I could take all the stuff you want all the time, and any medication. And in one of my migraine hazes, I accidentally we stood at the Motel 6 last time. It was a clean room, good experience. And I got that too confused somehow. And yeah, and I also picked a smoking room. Like,
why would you do that?
John? I was telling Chris, I think I juggle way too much sometimes, which is why yesterday when we were at the meeting yesterday, I'm doing you see me doing like 6 things at once all the time. It's not just that. But nevertheless,
Yeah. You bite off more than you can chew. I do that too sometimes.
yeah. And so that again, this is one of those things where if you're going to the Super 8 motel, as part of it was that mafia that Chris was talking about too, or the cartel.
You know what? One of the things that was funny is I went down to get a drink at some point during our stay there, and they didn't have Dr. Pepper on the floor we were on. So I went down to the main floor, and I was trying to get a drink, and I noticed that the entire door to the drink machine was open. You could just swing the whole thing open and take what you wanted. So I told them, like, hey, you guys, you could do this. He's like, oh, we're going to have to call somebody. We came stumbling in about 12 hours later, same situation. So we just grabbed a water on the way up to the room. Like, all right, screw it. We warned them. I'm taking the water.
I wasn't going to participate because I saw the guy looking over our way. So I thought, I was like, man, he's going to say something. And I'm not saying a word or not noticing. But I'm surprised we didn't get any comments on YouTube. Like, oh, nothing like that. But we are losing a couple of viewers. So maybe after a while, they're like, oh, dude. Yeah. But either way, it didn't matter because I didn't go underneath the sheets, and B, it was just a place to lay our heads. And so, but when I told Greg and everybody at Erie what hotel they were staying at, they looked at me. But then Labor Day weekend, everybody jacks up the price. So places by the water were normally that $100, $200 an hour, now $400, $500 a night. And so we're a victim of that. But either way, whatever the case is, great trip. And there's Walter. Good evening, Walter. How you doing? And so it was a great trip, and we all went from there. So, but we're going to talk a little bit of the Tigers. We're going to talk about, we just talked about the postseason runs for both West Michigan and Erie. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what's going on around baseball as postseason aspirations and World Baseball Classics news too, as Javier Baez will be playing for Team Puerto Rico. I did an article earlier today on Woodward about the history of Tigers who have played in the World Baseball Classic, which has been around since 2006. So the Tigers are playing or start a 3-game series tomorrow against Kansas City. Joey Wentz coming off the IL after a couple stints in West Michigan and Toledo will get the start. And from there, they won the game yesterday against the Angels. Salvage, game out of a 3-game series, and the young bats came to play. And so Eric Haas 5 for 5, and Kerry Carpenter with a home run. Ryan Carpenter got a home run too, and so did Spencer Torkelson. But Spencer Torkelson still missed a couple fastballs down the middle. Tigers can't be choosers. But I'll start with you, John. I know that you were watching the game yesterday a little bit, but anything stood out to you besides what I just mentioned in a 3-game series against the Angels?
Oh, I mean, nothing much. I mean, yesterday was like a really great day for the Tigers. There are actually 4 home runs yesterday. I can't remember the last time the Tigers have had 4 home runs in a game. Eric Haas with 5 hits. And but in terms of, it's been much of the same for the Tigers. I think yesterday was a step in the right direction. I mean, that ball Torque hit the center. It was an absolute bomb. That was good to see. Kerry Carpenter still seems to be holding his own up in the majors. And not too many takeaways. I think it's more of the same, but I just think those are 3 names to keep an eye on is Carpenter, Torkelson, and Kredler as we move forward. That was really exciting to see yesterday.
As far as anything else, guys, in terms, I know, Chris, you're maybe watching a little bit of it. Was there anything else about the series you stood out?
Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
We get to see them at their best, right? That's always fun. No, it's good to see the young guys do their thing. That was fun. To John's point, that was going to be my inside the number that I met and remember he did a home run related one not that long ago. But the Tigers hit 4.75% of all their home runs on the season yesterday. 4 homers in one game. They came into the game with 80 home runs and they hit 4. So it was just under 5% of their season's total.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, for me, it was I watched quite a bit of Tuesday and Wednesday's games. I was, you're supposed to play hard, so you don't get a lot of credit for playing hard. But at least at this point, with the record they have, you can see they were competing. They didn't just wither away after getting dusted on Monday. And a couple sequences that really drew my attention were on Tuesday night. Even though they ended up losing the game, Jimenez came in and dusted Trout and Ohtani back to back. It was pretty impressive. He looked really confident. No back down from them whatsoever. That was pretty impressive. And then the next day, Soto comes out and he struck them both out as well. So anytime you can get through Trout and Ohtani late in a game, in a one-run game, you got to be kind of happy for those relievers who did that. So that kind of jumped out at me a little.
Yeah, and I know we're trying to stick on the positive, but I was listening to the Locked On Tigers podcast today. Scott Bentley. The Tigers yesterday, they had 13 hits as well as 3 walks. So they had 16 base runners along with 4 solo home runs, and they were only able to score 5 runs. So I was just thinking about that for a second. So they had 4 solo home runs, and then they had 12 other base runners, and I'm only able to score 1 of them. So I know we're trying to be positive here, but
we're also, we're a podcast that reels in realities. If for long-time listeners who have listened to the show, we've been like I said, there's been times we're called "quote unquote" too mean, whatever the hell that means. So I always take that with a grain of salt because I don't care. So it's one of those things where especially when you look at some of the exit velocity by the Tigers too, which I wanted to kind of mention that is it's not going to be my inside number, but as one of the things that you look at, and it's all blue. So if it's in red, it's good. If you go to Baseball Savant and you go to exit velocity and barrels leaderboard, usually if you're in the red, you're good. Here's the thing, the number that stands out. I'm gonna post this here. This is an example of what we're talking about yesterday. Kerry Carpenter, the home run was 90 miles an hour. His double, he hit a hard hit double. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna be, beggars gonna be choosers kind of thing. But when you look at some of the stats like this is where, if there's one thing about the Tigers, there's plenty of things to go wrong with the Tigers, but this right here, look at this. Look at the barrel rate here. It's all blue.
Ooh.
This is all unqualified. Riley Green has had a really good success, but hard hit 95 miles or more. Plus, some of the swing rates here, like Willie Castro, you look at the numbers, but look at this right here. This is just a Torkelson, even Javier Baez. But yeah. So
what do you think of Candelario being number 1? I wouldn't expect that at all.
I'm not surprised by it actually, because the last couple of years he has been among team leaders in hard hit rate.
Oh, this is the last couple of years, not just this year.
Oh no, it's this year, but I'm not surprised for this year. But his numbers are down. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, nevertheless, the Tigers are what they are, and so. But at any rate, let's move on. There's a couple things that happened today in Major League Baseball, and one of them, I'm not sure if you guys saw this article. I posted it earlier in our DMs, and that is 2 minor leaguers are suing the Angels for reneging on a promise that was on video, by the way, of them giving them, it was their contracts too, I believe it was. So Jeff Passan with a really good story, and it's kind of embarrassing. This is why Artie Moreno maybe he might be selling a team. Maybe he saw things coming dark on the horizon, because it's just been awful news for the Angels. But it's August 31st hearing. Lawyers continue to argue the cases of Willie Fananis and Kirsten Pavone, who alleged in court filings agreed with the Angels a deal for $1.8 million when Fananis was 14 years old, and Pavon for $425,000 as a 15-year-old. But they were not honored following a change in organization's front office. So, but there's a rule that says the players cannot sign until they're 16. But that happens anyways. Everybody just doesn't anyway. But there's a video, and the video here I'll post it on I'll post it here on the chat, and then I'm gonna post it on the description. So somebody randomly posted this, and pretty interesting stuff. But that came out, and then tomorrow the rules are going to be voted on tomorrow for the 15-second clock, and I believe it's the drawing a blank on the other rule that's going to be changed, but all the rule changes that have been working out will be voted on tomorrow. So again, I'm not really. I don't know where you guys stand on the rules. What's up?
I think it was the pitcher disengagements.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Is that a time clock thing?
Yes.
Yeah, pitch clock.
Oh, yeah.
And then
They're going to limit how many times you can step off the rubber per at bat. And if you do step off, they reset the clock and so on. A batter can only step out once. They have to be in the batter's box with 9 seconds to go on the clock and ready to hit. So it's very similar to what you guys have been seeing, at the lower levels. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I think it's a good thing as long as they continue to enforce it, because a few years ago they tried to make the 20-second thing work. But it was they put it in the umpire's hands, and the umpires kind of stopped really, really enforcing it because it was too tough without a clock, without some firm backing of a rule. So I think it's going to be a good thing. I really do. The bigger bases, well, it's fine. Probably a little safer at first base. It's going to bring second base closer to home. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to do, what the results of that's going to be. But supposedly more runners will be safe with bigger bases. And then the shift rule. So I think they want 2 guys on each side of second at the time of the pitch, and 4 guys have to be in the dirt.
Yep, and none allowed in outfield grass. By the way, it's final. West Michigan wins 7-6 over Great Lakes to continue to be in the playoff race.
There was a really fascinating example of the pitcher disengagement things in Erie's game last night. In the 10th inning, Erie had men on first and third with nobody out, and the pitcher had already made 2 throws to first. So if the next one, you can make another one, but you have to pick the guy off. If you don't, it's a balk. So, and he stepped off and threw to first. And they tagged out Eric De La Rosa at first. He got picked off. If he hadn't, the guy runner from third would have scored to tie the game. So it becomes this kind of amazing drama moment because you don't expect the pitcher's going to throw over here. So you take a bigger lead and then they catch you. And yeah, it's, I don't know, it's kind of fun. It wasn't fun for Erie, but it
one thing I don't know in a situation when it's first and third, do you know if they've already thrown the first twice, can they then throw to third? Or are they just out?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
Either way, I do know this for a fact. For how many minor league games we've gone this year, it speeds things up pretty quick. I mean, we went to a lot of games under 2 hours. I mean, maybe like 1 hour, 56 minutes, 2 hours, close enough. But I mean, it's sped by. There's been a lot of them that have, except for Lansing. For whatever reason, Lansing games do not. It's like 3 hour marathons up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think just about every game we went to this year was 2.5 or less, but aside from the Lansing, slugfests. But so it makes a huge difference, and otherwise the product in the field hasn't been changed for the most part.
Yeah, that's a good thing. As a younger viewer, just younger viewers don't have the attention span, and so I think that's a very, very good change for the game.
I was going to ask you this, John, because I don't like putting stereotypes on people or things, but so 100%. You have a brother too, right? So your brother plays baseball. Would you guys agree that has been a good thing? Like both you guys, no doubt, it's making it better for you guys to watch the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have, like when I worked at I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jimmy John's Field.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They had like a 2.5 hour time limit, so it didn't matter. At the end of the inning, the game was over, whether it was the 7th, 8th inning. But I just think having the pitchers speed up more, having the batters not continually step out of the box, I think that's going to speed up the game tremendously. So I think that's a really positive change.
Especially because every Sunday night baseball game between the Red Sox and the Yankees feels like there's like that constant, all right, step out, and like just, I hate watching those.
So they're probably not going to be able to shorten the between inning time for advertising reasons. So you might not see the full effect minor league games got, but I still think it's going to be great. Even if they can shave 15 minutes on average, 20 minutes, it'd be great. Probably see more split screen advertising during a game, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because Bally does that right now a little bit too, with a word from Jimmy John's or whatever they'll say a sponsor as they're doing something in the break. And plus with you're going to see eventually at some point. I think you're going to see more on uniforms advertisers. I mean, it's been doing that in Japan. Soccer leagues are doing it.
They approved that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did approve it.
In
Yeah,
the CBA, so we're going to see it soon. I don't know. It'll just be more Little Caesars, probably.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as if you're going to see another pizza company on a Tigers jersey. There's no way for that to happen. So, all right, now it is time for Inside the Numbers. All right, Chris, since we didn't get to hear your number last week, you go first. What's your insider number?
All right, so my number this week is 13. That is the number of players in Major League Baseball history who have finished a season with a WRC plus of 200 or better. Now that would be again twice as good as an average hitter, which is doesn't happen very often. There have been more seasons than that, but again, just 13 players, and honestly, we can cast aside a handful of these players right away. One is Fred Dunlap from 1884. So we're gonna congratulate Fred on making it through a season without getting polio and forget about him. Then you've got Jeff Bagwell and Frank Thomas, both from the strike-shortened 1994 season. So I mean, those are both two amazing seasons, but they only played 110 games, so you don't really know. And then Juan Soto did it 2 years ago, 47 games in 2020. Again, very short season, hard to take that seriously. So if you take those away, you've got 10 seasons from Babe Ruth, 6 from Ted Williams, 4 from Barry Bonds, and you got 2 apiece from Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, and Mickey Mantle, and then 1 from Lou Gehrig, Stan Musial, and then Mark McGuire's 1998. And why do I bring this up? Because right now, Aaron Judge has a 202 WRC plus. And again, still another month to go, and it's not as sexy as the big home run totals, but it's a pretty remarkable offensive accomplishment, and it's a very exclusive club. So it's something to keep an eye on for super stat nerds like us, like me.
I mean, that makes sense too. Why people would consider him over getting him the MVP over Ohtani. So I get it. You can make an argument for both, but I mean, with that right there, it's like, wow, you can't really argue that number right there. So, John, what's your insider number?
Okay, so the Minnesota Twins, they're in the race for the AL Central right now. They played a team over the last couple of days that they're pretty unanimous for. So my number is .252, and that is the Minnesota Twins winning percentage against a certain team. Do you guys know this team?
Royals?
They just played them.
They just played the Royals?
No, not the Royals. The
Yankees.
Yes,
Yankees, right?
Yeah, it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
Yes. So since 2002, the Minnesota Twins are 39 and 116 against the Yankees. It's like you've seen the jokes like the Yankees own the Twins, but I mean, like the numbers like actually back it up. So yeah, I mean the Twins won the division in 2019. Were swept in the ALDS by the Yankees. I know they were swept in 2009 in the ALDS by the Yankees. So I mean, what I'm taking from this, if the Yankees weren't around, then the Twins could have won a World Series in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
do those numbers include the playoffs?
I'm actually yes, they do.
Okay, all right. Let's get.
I believe it.
They're kind of famously have been.
Yeah, just like the Twins. Yeah, the Twins have lost was it like 14 or 16 straight playoff games?
Yep.
Exactly. I mean,
just think where Ron Gardenhire's legacy would be if the Yankees hadn't been stoning them all those years. If he just had won a couple of those series, who knows where his legendary status sits.
Yep. It could cost them the division this year. I mean, they just got swept by him again, so we'll see.
Oh boy! Well, again, I mean that's why the Tigers have beaten the Yankees in the postseason twice. So
2012.
Cooper, what is your insight?
My numbers are 7.7.
Oh, thank you. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Numbers are 7. Go ahead. My numbers are 7.7, 7.5, and 7.5. Those are the projected out F-WARs of over 162 games for Von Grissom, Michael Harris II, and Spencer Strider, the 3 rookies with the Braves. So they have 3 rookies that they've injected into their post-World Series team that are playing at a 7.5 WAR level. Pretty much a star for their player development program. Because I don't think obviously we could probably research it, but the last World Series champ to inject 3 powerful rookies like that into their lineup the next year, that probably doesn't happen very often. So for the Braves guys who might be in the running for a GM slot, they can look at that little factoid there as a bonus for them.
That's man. He pitch like he pitched
16
it's a Rockies.
strikeout game. Yeah, he had a 16 strikeout game.
Ridiculous.
One thing
Michael Harris II has been so steady. He's like a metronome, man. He's on base twice a night. Either scores a run, steals a bag, or drives in a run. He's been a real find for them.
There were a couple things I saw. One was that Strider has almost completely changed his pitch mix since college. And it's only been like 2 years, but what did I say? It was something like his release angle is even like a half foot lower. Like he's completely rebuilt himself.
Wow.
And the one thing I came across today in Harris is very exciting, but there are some numbers to suggest that he might be one of those like severe sophomore slump candidates. I was looking, he's got one of the highest ground ball rates in all of baseball. It's higher than Riley Green. It's like 2.5 per fly ball. And meanwhile, his home run per fly ball is like 25%. So it's like, yeah, I mean, he's still an exciting player. He's having a fantastic year. I complain about that. It's just one of those like, hey, he may like don't freak out if he's not a 5-win player next year when he's 22. All right, settle down. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, that kind of happened with Vladimir Guerrero, right? I mean, he got off to a really good start, and
that's a good example for this year where,
Yeah.
Guerrero had a monster year last year, and he's still very good this year, but he's another guy with a really high ground ball rate. And sometimes guys like that struggle to put up, great seasons back to back.
Yeah, he's been able to pick it up as of late, and that's precisely what leads into my inside number, which is 17-22. And that is the Jays record against every other team but Boston in the division. Against Boston in the division, they're 13-3 against Boston in the division. But the reason why I bring that up is that doesn't matter because they took 3 out of 4 against Baltimore on the road when they needed to. And it was a very clutch series, considering that Jose Barrios has struggled all year, but they put it together. Him and Kevin Gausman did a really good job did a fantastic job on Monday, sweeping the doubleheader. And they took 3 out of 4 from Baltimore, and they're now have in terms of the standings and the wild card, they hold the upper advantage. So good series for Toronto. They're off the 6-1 start in the month of September, and the Jays were getting some good bullpen work. And the Jays, if you look at the Jays bullpen, some of the names that might pop in there, Chris, I know you're going to be familiar with some of these names when I tell you. Zach Pop, Celonio Perez, former Houston, Brian Baker is another name that's been up there, but Felix. No, I'm sorry. That's for the Baltimore. I'm sorry. I should talk about Toronto's bullpen. Anthony Bass, the name that come in mind. Although Zach Pop does come in mind because he was a Rule 5. I think he was a Rule 5 eligible guy, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yes.
We talked about him before.
Yeah, he was with the Marlins once upon a time.
Yeah.
I think he was with the Dodgers and was left unprotected. What was it? Or he was traded from the Dodgers to the Orioles in the Manny Machado deal, I think.
Yeah,
and then left unprotected when he was hurt, and the Marlins took him in the Rule 5.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And another thing about the series too that really stands out is the play of Alejandro Kirk, who's having a fantastic year. He's a 4-WAR player. We've talked about this before. I remember making a suggestion when last year about, maybe Tigers should make a play for him or Danny
Jensen.
Yeah. And Kurt this week stepped up huge against Baltimore. He had a game where he went 4 for 5, but on the series, he had OPS over 1,000 and a 571 slugging percentage. That gets it done. And again, players like that are going to definitely help Toronto continue to hopefully get ahead in the wild card. Baltimore, selfishly, I don't want Baltimore to get there because then it just makes the Tigers look even worse. But then again, also, I'm like, at the same time, like, screw it. They deserve it. So the other, we do have an inside number from,
so.
Yeah, exactly. I do have an inside. We have two inside numbers from our listeners. This one from Christopher. My number will be one since 2005. Each team in the AL Central, except Minnesota, has made at least one World Series appearance. Only the Royals and Red Sox have won World Series titles. That's a good one. Excuse me. And then I have one from our email. So I did get one email to me, and that's from our friend Tim, and he gave me a really good one too. He changed his number to 595. As of September 6th, Robbie Grossman's OPS is 595 with Atlanta. The same exact number as with the Tigers.
But they fixed him. We were told so. They fixed him in 30 seconds. We were told that by somebody. Come on.
They don't even need him, honestly.
Yeah. Wrong! All right. That was okay. I've been a little quiet ever since this feedback, but I think I figured out when to play him. But yeah, so that is our inside the numbers for the week. So now it's time for our second section. All right, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. John, I'm gonna let you lead it off this week. What is the good, the bad, and the ugly on your end?
Okay, so my good is a team that is on fire right now, and that is the Tampa Bay Rays. Things weren't going so well for them. I mean, they weren't particularly bad, but they were only a couple games above 500. But now they've gone on a really good win streak. They're now 19 games over 500. I just saw Luis Patino is back for them. He's a guy that I think is going to be big for them come October. I just read a report that Wander Franco is set to rejoin the team. And so they're getting healthy, because they've had some depth issues this year. Corey Kluber has been really rock solid for them. Still waiting on Shane McClanahan to come back. And one guy I want to shout out is Jason Adam, guy I'd never heard of up until this season. He has a microscopic 1.26 ERA as their closer this year. I mean, he has stepped up big time, with the injuries to Andrew Kittredge and Nick Anderson. So I think things are looking up for them, and something to watch out for is they have a 3-game series against the Yankees, I believe, starting tomorrow. And they're currently only 5 back of the Yankees, which if things go out, play their way over this 3-game set, that race in the AL Central could be really, really intriguing to end the season. So good stuff from Tampa Bay. My bad. I want to talk about this team because we just recently saw them, and that's the Angels. The Tigers have been very disappointing this year, but I think the Angels are been one of the most disappointing teams as well. I mean, just to have the seasons that Trout and Ohtani have had, they brought in Noah Syndergaard this offseason. Joe Adell was a guy they wanted to take another step. And just to see them at the level that they're at, currently 17 games under 500, they have not played much of any important baseball for the entirety of the year. I just think it's been really bad for them to the point where Mike Trout is already 32 years old, hasn't sniffed any playoff baseball. Ohtani, I believe, is going to be a free agent in a year or two. And their farm system is pretty barren right now. So things aren't looking good for the Angels. And then for my ugly, another team I want to highlight is the Miami Marlins, a team that has lost 9 games in a row. They're currently 55-80. And, we're Tigers fans, so obviously we're going to be harder on the Tigers. But I think just the media in general has been really hard on the Tigers this year. And I haven't heard the same sort of noise around the Marlins. The Marlins were a team that made the playoffs in 2020, for what it's worth, actually won a playoff series. But they've just been dreadful this year, like very disappointing. Their free agent signings like Avi Garcia, Jorge Soler have not worked out. Their offense has just not been very good. And then pitching-wise, Sandy Alcantara has been absolutely incredible, but it's just very disappointing to see, his like he's been an MVP candidate for me this season, and to see that being wasted right now has been very disappointing for the Marlins. So currently on a 9-game losing streak, things are not looking good for the Marlins right now.
And I think the reason why you haven't heard anything because Marlins fans are over it. Miami is one of the most fickle towns out there, and they had a chance to be owned by a local owner, but Major League Baseball went the Derek Jeter route and everything. And Miami, whatever fans are at Marlins, that are hardcore Marlins fans are out there. There's a few, but honestly, if you were to tell me that Marlins fans were out there in a large minority, majority, I would tell you you're insane. They're not. There's just not a lot of Marlins fans. So, all right, Uper, what is your good, bad, the ugly this week?
Well, my good is just kind of from yesterday's win out in LA against the Angels. It was kind of fun, a little bit refreshing. It's been such a bad year without much to celebrate. I really was struck by the 8th inning when they hit the home runs, Carpenter and Kreidler. Both excellent swings, by the way, different types of home runs. We can talk about that another time. But maybe now, Carpenter going the other way, I thought was a great swing. And then Kreidler really dropped the hammer on that inside fastball. That thing was not on the plate, but he got it, and he drove that thing out to a deep part of the field. But what I really liked was Valley stuck in the dugout for a long time. And for a team that's going nowhere, for a game that really is meaningless, the dugout looked happy, and you haven't seen a lot of happy Tigers this year, genuinely happy anyway. So it was kind of fun to see the smiles, and I think that's when you have young guys doing stuff for your team. They're stoked to be in the big leagues. I think the older guys get a kick out of the young guys having fun. So I enjoyed that yesterday. That was one of my highlights of the year. Bad, the Passan article. I think what that really is going to lead to is more talk about the international draft. Not a big fan. I can see why people want to do it. People believe in drafts. I personally don't. I think drafts generally are mostly vehicles to save owners money. Anytime you say we need a draft, it's because they want to save money. It's not for the player's benefit. It's not for competitive balance benefit as much as people say. It's a way to control costs. And I think they're going to be taking even more money out of the pockets of young Caribbean kids who want to have dreams of playing professional baseball. Maybe I'll end up being wrong, but that's what I see from an international draft. But it does look like it's getting closer and closer. My ugly, dipping way down, going to the Finnish Baseball League. My guys, the Tampere Tigers. I root for them since they're called the Tigers. I've been rooting for them a long time. They are in the Finnish Baseball League Championship Series. Unfortunately, they are now down. They're down 2-0 in the best of 5. Backs against the wall. They'll be on their own field, home field this weekend, trying to come back. They need to win 3. They got to dig deep and have a few bounces go their way. But it looks like at least one Tigers team made it to their championship series. We're happy about that. But they're looking like the Espoo Expos might take them down for the title in Finland. There you go.
No, and you know what, Uber, you brought up a good point there about the drafting, especially also if you look at the fact that Players Union is going to represent the minor league players. So there's going to be additional costs coming down sooner than later. So that's a good point to bring up. And as far as the Tiger Clubhouse, yeah, that was a good sight to see because even when I'm down there for home games and what have you, they're genuinely – they're always in a good mood. They might not want to talk to the media, and that's fine. I can't get in the clubhouse anyways. But even then, it's still there. For the most part, you see Miguel smiling out there and all that. They know it's been a long season, but yeah, it was especially in likes of Carpenter, Green, and Torkelson. It's kind of and even Lester. Congratulations to Josh Lester. We haven't mentioned that he got the call up, and the fact that he has been in the system for almost a decade, 8 years, and last year he left, and the Tigers re-signed him to come back, and he's been nothing but a trooper. So salute to him, and he will be back in town on Monday when the Tigers have Houston in town. So, and then of course Hunter Brown, the Wayne State grad in Michigan. I think he went to Lake or St. Clair Shores.
St. Clair Shores, I think, yeah.
He might be scheduled to pitch, I believe, on Tuesday. So yeah, that'll be cool to see. All right, Chris, what is your
nice debut?
So what?
But Brown had an awfully nice debut. I think it was 6 scoreless, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean the name alone speaks for itself. I mean,
he's cousin Hunter.
Yeah, cousin Hunter.
And,
all right, Chris, what's your good, the bad, the ugly?
So my good is Aaron Nola. John mentioned Sandy Alcantara, and I've kind of presumed that he was going to win the Cy Young all year long, and he probably still will. He's kind of had it wrapped up, but at least he's the heavy favorite. But I looked up the other day, and Aaron Nola is leading all pitchers in FWAR, which I didn't realize was happening. His ERA is a full run higher than Alcantara's, so that's probably not going to happen. But I felt it was noteworthy to point out how Nola has been consistently excellent, basically throughout his career. Now he's his first 7 years in his career, his FIP was never lower than 3.01 and never higher than 4.04. So just in between 3 and 4. This year it's 2.64. He's having his best year by that regard, and he's getting close to 30 WAR for his career. He doesn't turn 30 until next June, so it's obviously still early, but we see pitchers all the time that kind of continue succeeding and sometimes even get better in their 30s. So, I mean, yeah, he wouldn't shock me if in 10 years we look up and Aaron Nola has borderline Hall of Fame numbers, which is, I don't know, it's kind of wild because you just don't hear a lot about him, I don't think.
Kind of on a Mike Mussina path.
A little bit, he hasn't had like that one monstrous year, but neither did Mussina, right? Like I don't think Mussina ever won like if you look back by WAR, he may have had a couple years where he deserved it, but I don't think he ever won a Cy Young. And Nola did have like an 8-9 WAR year a couple of years ago, but people were like, I don't know, because it was just kind of funky. But yeah, so he's just a darn good pitcher, and I'm sure maybe in Philly they appreciate him, but I don't get a lot of national attention there. My bad is the Gurriels. Yuli and Lourdes, they're two pretty darn good baseball players, right? They've been so for a while, but not over the last month. I was looking out of 178 qualified hitters at Fangraphs. Lourdes ranks 175th in WAR, and Yuli ranks 176th over the last month. So yeah, it's a tough month for the brothers. Lourdes is hitting 209 with no home runs for 58 WRC plus and negative 0.4 WAR, and Yuli is hitting 232 with no home runs for a 64 WRC plus and a negative 0.5 WAR. So, yeah, maybe it's just August is just not good for the Gurriels. And my ugly is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about them.
So 1 month ago, the Brewers had a 2-game lead over the Cardinals in the NL Central. Today, they are 8.5 games behind. It's one of the more stunning collapses. And maybe it's more about the Cardinals going 21-8. Than the Brewers going 13-15, but at the deadline they trade away their closer. Now Hader has been awful, so they clearly knew something was going on there. But it's just weird. Like, how do you have confidence in that front office when you've got first place wrapped up? You make some strange trades, and then you fall apart in August. So yeah, it's been ugly there in Milwaukee, and it's one of those things where I think this is a situation where Tigers fans are like, hey, what's the rush in finding your GM? Wait till some things play out. Maybe Milwaukee's GM will get blown out, and that would be true if the Tigers were running any kind of real GM search instead of a sham. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, Lynn Henning has been beating the horn about Josh Burns, but like I said, I wrote this back when Al Avila got fired. It's going to be somebody they're familiar with already, and I'm going to stick with it. And there's some stuff coming. We've heard some stuff, but again, that's off the mic stuff. By the way, Christopher in our chat had a good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to share that in here. His good is Carpenter and Crowder going back-to-back jacks. The bad, Baez getting picked off. That was a pretty bad pickoff. The ugly, 13 hits, 3 walks, 4 home runs, and you only scored 5 runs. That goes into what Bentley said, too. So definitely, Chris, that's a good one. Thanks for participating in that. So my good is a number that I'm actually, guys, having to guess this number. So 1.94. What is 1.94 and the number 15?
Well, 1.94 sounds like an ERA to me.
Yeah.
DeGrom?
15 wins, 15 strikeouts.
We're gonna get a wrong. Yeah,
okay. So it's the pop time of Eric Haas, which ranks him 15th in the league.
Okay.
So right now, and this was just updated. Pardon me?
I would have expected that to be higher. I think the highest is like 189, right?
The best pop time right now on average is JT Renato with a 1.82.
182. It's his average is 182.
Yeah, pop time is
Oh
second
my
base.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Sorry.
So I mean, and this is through 39 attempts, and then of course Chucky Robinson minimum attempts of 5. I mean, they put minimum attempts of 5. He's 1.88. I don't know who that guy is at all, but Eric Haas is tied among a couple others in that second tier, but he's not too far off from likes of Radley Hutchinson, Stubbs, Gabriel Moreno. So he's along some elite company catchers. So that's, I mean, again, I'm not, for my bad, this is where it's going to get back down to earth, ladies and gentlemen. So the bad is the Detroit Tigers WRC Plus this season. Not 1 month this season has it even come in the 90s. Not even in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn.
So you want to know how bad the WRC Plus has been for the Tigers?
How bad is it?
How bad?
How bad is it?
How bad is it? I was like setting that up. How bad has been the Tigers WRC Plus in the month of June, ladies and gentlemen? We'll start with the month of June because it was a long month. 78. 78. And the 78, ladies and gentlemen, 78. May.
Average is 100, correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
In May, 72. 72 for the month of May. So you're talking, and then April, March, just kind of like beginning of the season was 82. All right, well, a little bit respectable. I guess let's not mince words here. That's still crap. That's still shite. It was so in July it was 85, and in August it was back to 77. So July has been the best month of the year for the Tigers in WRC Plus with 85.
Nasty.
That could have been my ugly. But that's borderline ugly. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's bad embarrassing. Because as Chris once said, you can always improve on that. Well, not much less left of the season to improve on that. But yes, that's how bad it is right now. And you guys were talking, so my ugly, and it kind of stole my thunder a little bit with the Brewers, but it makes perfect sense because the Cardinals are going to do what the Cardinals do every year, without fail. You can put it on a clock and go, all right, now the Cardinals are just going to turn it on. They won 13, 14 in a row last year in September. Was that last year they did that?
Yeah, they
17.
got the second wild. Yeah, they got the second wild card spot.
Yeah, unbelievable. So my ugly would belong to the. I was gonna say this was kind of like a theme. So I had to go back to the hapless Nationals because why not? They're 48 and 89. So if you're talking about as far as bad things go for the Tigers, you can always look at the Nationals and go, all right.
Well, they have a World Series. They did win a World
Series. They did have a World Series. I can't argue that logic. I can't. No, you're right. But the reason why I wanted to mention the Nationals is because in terms of ERA, in terms of like the last in September, they've won 3 in a row. So not exactly helping they won 3 in a row stretch where their pitchers gave up 1 run or less. So that's not ugly, but the fact is just kind of coming into the month of September rather as a team ERA for the Nationals as far as that goes, or excuse me, WAR wise was a 1.9. 1.9 pitching staff for the Nationals, and their ERA is a team ERA, and they were dangerously close to the 96 Tigers, but it's a 5.07 ERA or 5.02 ERA. Only the Rockies have a worse ERA. So
They still got Anibal Sanchez going for him too. I saw.
Yeah, I think he threw a shutout a couple days ago.
He's still going, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't mentioned the Nationals in a while. Their farm system somehow, Harrisburg that kept messing with the Erie SeaWolves a couple weeks ago, so out of nowhere with performers?
Yeah, they played Harrisburg 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, don't they play him in high A as well? I don't know, maybe not. But
in high, I don't think the
I'm
Nationals.
confused there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
they're
no, I think I'm thinking of AAA. AAA, I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Rochester.
Toledo. Yeah, 17-0.
Yeah.
Was that against the Toledo 17-0? I think that was earlier in the week. Good Lord.
And then lost the other
Speaking of
6
Toledo, by
games
the
or
way.
other 5 games in the series.
Speaking of Toledo, by the way, Brian Garcia was 6 shutout innings. If I would have told you at the beginning of the year that Brian Garcia would be
I saw that he gave up 2 runs.
Well, he had maybe he had 6 shutout innings going for a while. I'm not sure, but the fact he's going 6 innings as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, he's done that multiple times now. He even did it in the big leagues, didn't he? He had a couple of starts. It was like just something that you, I don't know, man. You never give up on pitchers, I guess.
And Christopher with a good point here. Got to admire the Cardinals' ability to draft and develop their own talent and not miss a beat. You were absolutely correct, sir. So, all right, so it is time for questions. Chris, I will lead off with usually our Mark and our DM. He DM'd this really good question, and a minute because this is kind of, I don't know if you guys thought about this question. Did you guys see the question earlier?
Yeah, I did. About the rotation.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll start with you. I'll start with you, John. So here's the question from Mark. Hey, Rogelio, what's your starting 5 in a rotation next year? Turnbull is back. Mize and Skubal are out. A lot of young guys competing for a lower spot, and there's always free agent possibility. So, okay, John, what would be your starting rotation heading into next year?
Your ace would hopefully be Eduardo Rodriguez. You would think pretty sure Spencer Turnbull will be back, and then you have Matt Manning. So that's your top 3 right there. Alex Fideo is a guy I think that could challenge for a rotation spot. I don't see Ty Madden being a guy who could start the year off in Detroit next year. Reese Olson, I think, is a guy that could potentially vie for a rotation spot. And then you have the free agent potential as well. I'm not sure who the top starting pitcher free agents are next year, but I think you got Eduardo Rodriguez, you've got Turnbull, and you've got Manning. I think those are your 3 guys. And then I think there's a lot of possibilities. Garrett Hill is another guy who's been pretty impressive this year. He could potentially hold down one of those spots. And then you have Joey Wentz pitching tomorrow is another option. So a lot of options, but I would say my 3 men are Erod, Turnbull, and Matt Manning.
Okay. All right, Uper, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with those 3. Obviously, barring, obviously Turnbull hasn't thrown a pitch in anger yet this year. So do we know he's going to come flying through spring training and have a job right off the bat? We don't know that, but let's assume he does, that he's going to be ready to go. So it's Turnbull, Rodriguez, Manning. I believe they're going to have to look outside for something. I think a new general manager is going to, depending who that is, of course, that's always kind of the proviso, want to put some kind of stamp on the rotation. And they'll see who's out there. There should be, a couple, hopefully something better than Michael Pineda. And then I think that 5th spot just boils down to the grab bag of guys we've seen this year. I mean, how is Bo Brisky's health? How is Alex Faedo's health? Who's hot in March and April? They start the season out in the rotation, but they'll have plenty of guys that we've seen this year, and some that we'll see coming from Madden and Olson and a couple others who will probably be in the mix as the summer wears on. So I think there won't be that many big surprises, other than unless they really go off the charts and bring in a top flight free agent.
Yeah, free agents I'm looking at, I see Jacob deGrom hasn't opted out. I mean, that's kind of a pipe dream. Andrew Heaney's Andrew Heaney's a free agent. He's been really good. Noah Syndergaard, Ross Stripling, Jamison Tyone. So there'll be some options. I don't see this team spending, as much as they did this previous offseason, but there are definitely some back-end options out there.
All right, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like they liked Brisky significantly more than what his numbers would tell us to. Like whatever their numbers are, tell them to like him more than we might. So I think as long as he's healthy, he's probably a lock into the rotation, I would think. I am a little bit wary with Turnbull, just as Yoop said. He hasn't thrown a pitch yet. I mean, we'd all love for him to come back, but we saw what happened with Michael Fulmer his first year back from Tommy John. Sometimes it's just not very smooth. I would pencil him in along with Erod and Manning. And then, I don't know. Does Wentz win a job? Does Hill win a job? Do they bring back Drew Hutchison on like a 1 year, $4 million deal or something like that? They think they could just re-sign him as a minor league free agent again. He's been solid. He's not winning them a ton of stuff, but he's eating innings. And then, among the prospects, I would think that maybe Wilmer Flores has the best shot of being a guy who take that next step, just based on the amount of progress he's made in the last 16 months. You don't really know what his ceiling is. I mean, who knows? Maybe he finds that changeup, and suddenly he's got 4 pitches he can command, and then you've got a real deal guy there. He doesn't have a ton of innings under his belt, so I wouldn't pencil him in at the beginning of the year, but he's a guy I'm pretty sure we'll see at some point next year as long as he's not hurt. And then they just have a bunch of other arms who could pop up as we saw this year. They need 16 pitchers. We could see Bergner hasn't pitched well in AAA, but he might get his velocity back and come up and start. Madden might eventually make it up. Brant Herter might eventually make it up. I don't know, but I don't really see them going big in free agency. There are some smaller names out there. I think your guy Raj from the Mets is going to be back as a free agent again. What's his name? James Taijuan Walker.
Yeah,
Michael Walker. Michael Walker's been really good this year.
Yeah, so there's some more of those kind of middle guys that are intriguing at least. So if they want to go and get something like that, but it's hard to know what I think they might place a priority in trying to sort out what they have already, because they're going to add some more names to the 40 man this year too.
Yeah, and that's where I think they might look eternal. So if they were to go external, I mean, a name I like too is Shamanea.
Because he's having a down year. You could buy low on him.
I mean, 4.4 WAR is not a down year. My friend. No, his numbers may indicate that, but I think a 4.4 WAR and might indicate that he's going to be worth something else. But again, that's more of a pipe dream. And Christopher brings up a good point here on YouTube.
Wait, where does he have a 4.4 WAR? Are you confusing with Manoa?
Shamanea?
Shamania's he's at 1.0 on Fangraphs. Is he at 4.4 to Baseball Reference?
Let me see. I just saw this list on MLB.com.
Yeah.
All right, my bad. My bad. I don't know why. What the hell? That's weird.
I don't know. I just saw a stat. He has a 7.1 ERA in his last 14 starts.
And this is say by wins above replacement. Fangraphs, that's not right then. I'm sorry. I was going by this link here. So you guys will
never trust the links.
No,
he's a negative 1.1 WAR to Baseball Reference.
Yeah, here's the link I put in our chat. Like that's where I got it from. So my apologies. I just looked at that and I should have gone to Baseball Reference in the first place. They could buy low on, you're right, John. They could buy low on him if they wanted to. He is from Indiana. He is from Indiana. Or excuse me, he grew up.
He went to Indiana State, right?
Yeah. Valpo area. So maybe he wants to go back to the Midwest. I don't know. I mean, they could buy low on him. He's a lefty if they choose to. But I think what Christopher was about to say with Christopher, Turnbull, Manning, Brisky, and more broken free agents. Look, I think if we're going to stick with the eternal options, here's what I have. So I have a combination of Manning, Erod, Hill, and Brisky. I put them both because you could put Hill has been pitching out of the bullpen, but just to save innings. But Brisky, you're not sure what he's going to be at, if he's going to be 100% next year or not. That's why I'm still kind of not going to pencil him in. I think Flores is going to get a heavy look in spring training, and I think he may start the year in Toledo, but get called up pretty quickly. Turnbull, for sure, I think. But even a guy like Sawyer Long, and the reason why I say that is because the Tigers might just decide on in terms of like Madden might need another year, or Madden might make the team mid-year. Maybe they'll see what they have and like just put together a hodgepodge rotation of guys that if they're not going to spend any money, which could be the case. Sawyer Long, I mean, he's 26, 27 years old, so he's already old enough that he should be getting some consideration. Wentz, I could also see there as well. It's going to be more eternal options. But if a guy like Chaminade, I even though again the numbers say otherwise, and another free agent that's out there that this is kind of like a running joke with me because it's always cracks me up when you see a name like this. It's like Andrew Heaney because that's a name that's going to be has injury written all over him. Kyle Gibson. No, yeah. I mean, there's going to be a Motor City Bengals list. It's going to have some of these names out there as a possible option. Yeah. No offense, anybody, but and of course Justin Verlander. Bring Justin Verlander,
dude. Oh, we would throw a party if that happened. We're having a party if Justin Verlander comes back to the Tigers.
Look, you're going to have to. Chris, what did you say?
No, I just said that article was putting their war from the 2020 and 2021 seasons. So it was the 2 years prior to this year for some reason, because that makes sense. I don't.
I was gonna say, okay, so I'm not crazy then. Okay, and for whatever reason, they have Aaron Sanchez.
Dude, he's off.
Dude, I just saw him. We saw him in Rochester pitch, or it was Rochester, I think, and then yeah.
And then he came and pitched for the Twins. I think didn't he shut down the Tigers once?
No, he did. I thought he was bad.
Boy. Yeah. So
no,
that's what we might. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. Jose Urina's out there. You're right. There's a bunch of just broken junk in the free agent market. So, I mean, I'm not, and look at the eternal. I mean, look at the Tigers. They didn't give Chase Anderson, and he's been on two different teams since he got released or since he decided to walk elsewhere. So, I don't see anybody writing articles about how well Chase Anderson is doing. So, but that's how it, I think, like I said, Sawyer Long would be consideration or if we know this organization, if they're going to go the route of ex-Dodger Josh Burns, or they're going to go somewhere eternal, they're going to find an arm somewhere in some other system and fix it. So watch for insert former starter thing. It's going to happen. Some Federer miracle job or something. I don't know. The end of the rotation is going to be kind of hard to figure out next year. It's just going to, what they're going to do? They're going to put the position on a UFC octagon, right? You got to fight for it. That's what's going to happen. It'll be 5 in, 1 out. UFC 900 or 965. The Tigers' 5th starter position.
Detroit, they all get hurt.
Oh man! All right. So questions. We got some more questions, Chris. I'm assuming.
I saw 2 more at least. One was from Steve Cook. He said, first of all, he would like to see Dana Brown's name floated more. He's done an excellent job with Atlanta. I think a lot of people consider him a great GM candidate. Again, if they were doing a real GM search, he would be high on the list, but they aren't. His question was, how would you rank the middle infield prospects? Christian Santana, Jace Young, Peyton Graham, Danny Serretti, Colt Keith, not a middle infield prospect, and Manuel Sequeira. So Santana, Young, Graham, Serretti, Keith, Sequeira. How do you rank them?
Well, we're going to see Serretti tomorrow. We're going to see tomorrow and Sunday as the Whitecaps end the season this weekend. Where Van Gogh, I think, wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. If they brought back Anibal Sanchez, by the way, it wouldn't surprise me. So
he's still I can't believe he's still going, man. Yeah. That's wild.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So Serretti, Graham, Sequeira, and who else?
Young, Keith.
Okay.
And yes, Santana, Young, Graham, Serretti, Keith, Sequeira.
That's 5.
6.
6. Okay, I can't count. All right. Well, Keith. I mean, again, Chris, we don't put him in there. That's why I said he's 5.
Well, I mean, he played second base. I don't think he's a second baseman down the road. I don't think he's a third baseman down the road. I think he's an outfielder. But if you're gonna put him in this group, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would put Keith number 1. It makes sense to me. Young for the upside part of it too. Serretti right now over Graham. Or I'm sorry, Sequeira. Then Serretti, Graham, and what was the last one?
I think it's all of them. So you had Keith Young. You didn't have Santana, did you?
No, was Santana mentioned or Sequeira?
Yeah, Santana was mentioned as well.
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. Santana 3, Sequeira 4, Soretti 5, and Graham 6. That's how I stack it up.
Gotcha. For me, it's Keith 1. He's the best hitter of the bunch. He may be the best pure hitter in the Tigers minor league system. Again, I don't think he's a middle infielder, but whatever. And then I got Santana 2. I think he has the highest upside. Doesn't have the highest upside of these guys, but the most likely to reach his offensive upside, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I actually have Peyton Graham 3. I think that he has the highest upside of all this group. That's a guys should stick at shortstop with 2020 potential. He just is kind of raw, has a lot to work on. Then I have Young. I don't know. I don't know if I've complained about Young a bunch on here or not, but I will if people want me to. And then I have Soretti, I guess, and then Sequeira. Like I don't know. I haven't seen Soretti in person much at all, actually. Yeah. So I don't want to pass any huge judgments there. I just think right now he's just a college hitter taking advantage of being experienced. I don't know if there's a lot of tools there to project him going forward. And Sequeira has good tools. It's just that approach, it scares the hell out of me. So yeah, that's how I rank him. And I guess you'll just say with Young, I haven't seen it yet. I don't see if I watch him on the field with Isaac Pacheco, which we've done several times, and I had to pick between the two, I take Pacheco every time. Pacheco's the better player. He's more athletic. He's got more power. He's as good a hitter. He's got as much patience. He's got a stronger arm. Like I don't know. Jace Young being a top 100 prospect is just kind of one of those strange artifacts of a guy. He had a great college career, particularly freshman, sophomore year, had great campaigns, good as a junior. So he's just well known, and he was highly touted coming to the draft. So he was highly ranked on draft boards, but you watch him play and I don't see a top 100 prospect there at all. To me, he seems like a guy with average power at best. He's got a feel to hit, but he's not, I don't even know if he's a plus hitter. Like it seems like pitchers can get him out with sliders under his hand every time if they can locate it there. It's just he's in high A and they can't always locate it there. And then beyond that, yeah, the secondary skills aren't really there. So I don't know. I'm pretty low on Jace Young, as you may be able to tell. So there you go. That's my ranking.
And the reason why I have him ranked right now over Santana is I need more. What I've seen from Santana is remarkable. The guy can hit. I just worry about his strikeout rate a little bit. But as we've discovered, Young struggles with high velocity.
Yeah.
So
like he can hit. I just don't know if there's going to be enough beyond that to really project him to be a big league regular.
No, Matthew makes a good point there about the 80-20 thing.
Well, that was you told me about that one, Rogelio, right? And
yeah.
That was from the Cody Stephen podcast, turning the corner with Cody and Kieran, right?
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we talked about it on here, but they
I was talking about when we talked about it on our trip when we were to listen to it, and then you got that look on your face like, oh wow, like about the Zach Nato stuff, yeah, and it was.
Well, the guy that Rogelio and I wanted. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see. It's the end of a long year for a lot of these guys, and maybe that's the main issue. Maybe Jace Young comes out, he's crushing it next year. His brother got better in pro ball, so I'll give him room to improve. He's not a top 100 prospect to me right now.
His brother, by the way, will be making his major league debut tomorrow. He got called up by the Rangers, so congratulations to
awesome.
Josh.
Nice.
So, all right. Next question, or anybody have want to rank those real quick? If anybody wants to, Uper, do you want to take us?
No, it's okay. I think
okay.
I would take Keith number 1. We could stop there, and then it's kind of just a mishmash. I think the nice part is there are a half a dozen legitimate guys to talk about in the Tigers system. There have been years where we did not have this conversation. It stopped at number 3.
He didn't mention Pacheco there, and
right.
or like Luke Gold, who they drafted this year, who we haven't seen much from.
Winsell Perez.
Yeah. They have Andre Lipsius.
I was just about to say that.
They have
That's
some
your guy.
bodies now. Ryan Kreidler's in the big leagues. There are bodies to cycle through. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's great to have the depth, and if they can just pull one or two guys out of that list who's a real ball player, you got a successful thing going.
so and then along those lines, our last question that I found was from Deadly Ninja Bees. It was a two-parter. The first one was, look into your crystal ball. What does the future hold for this Santana kid? Anybody?
I see everyday shortstop, honestly. And he's only 18 now, so we've got a ways to go with him. But I mean, he was very good in rookie ball this year, and a limited number of at bats. But so far in Lakeland, he's got a 751 OPS. The strikeouts, I could see why that could be an issue. But I think it's very early to tell. But I think for being as young as he is and being as highly ranked in the system as he is, I would hope he could be a future starter at the shortstop position for me.
I like the upside. I mean, we saw that home run yesterday that Sherry posted on Twitter, and the power's there. And I think it's just a matter of him figuring out. And what's nice is he's still relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
I think is he 18? No,
Yeah,
he's just 18. Yeah, he's 18. And he looks like a beast for his age. I mean, I don't know too many 18-year-olds that look like that. Oh, John's 20, and he,
Yeah, I'm old. I'm 2 years old.
Yeah, but you look like you're 16 sometimes. But no, all jokes aside, no, Santana, I think he has some major league potential, and it's not often we have said that. And same thing with Campos too. And Campos is outfielder, so I understand it's a completely different conversation. But Sequeira looks good, and you want to know what Chris's boy Reyes, the 17-year-old.
Oh, Raylan Perez.
Yeah, Raylan Perez. Sorry, Raylan. I was thinking
Yeah.
Reyes. Raylan Perez is going to be next year. So,
did you guys? Did we
let's see him
talk
do it.
about Luis Garcia? Did we hit on that?
Oh yeah, the Tiger. Oh yeah, so the Tigers. That's totally forgot about that. So there's, by the way, there's 5 different Luis Garcias out there. And,
the one on the Nationals. I like the one on the Nationals.
That's the guy you want. And he had he had a good debut tonight for the SeaWolves. He had a pair of walks, and he was at one point a top 30 prospect for the Phillies, but has just not been able to hit at any level this season. And the Tigers picked him up, put him on the 40-man roster, and shipped him out to Erie. There's reasons that Chris and I have talked about this privately. So if you really want to know, just ask us on Discord. We can tell you.
Yes.
But yes. Let's just say we just saw some really bad performances this weekend. If you look at certain players, you'll figure it out. But I'm not good. Yeah, no more than that. But that's what I think. That's why they did it. I don't know. But either way. And that was the last question. So
Well, he did have the two-parter. He had a second part of that.
Oh yeah, second part. Sorry, go ahead.
And just for my part, I think that Santana has, I think he's got a chance to be an average to an above average regular at second base in the big leagues. I think he is pretty similar to what we thought Isaac Paredes would become. I think he's got more raw power than Paredes, but the only issue he has right now is with his approach, and it's kind of the good issue to have when you've got an approach problem. It's that he's a little too passive, I think. And so that's why he has super high walk rates, but also high strikeout rates. I think he needs to get a little bit more aggressive on pitches that he can drive. And if he does that, I mean, you might see him fly through the system next year because he should be, pretty good elsewhere. I've only seen him a couple times, and he doesn't look like a shortstop to me. But again, it's hard to tell with an 18-year-old. He might even catch a growth spurt. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, the final question from Deadly Ninja Bees was, given that the Tigers don't have any assets to sell off, what does the new GM do in the offseason to turn this around?
I mean, remember Lynn? Oh, they got a bunch of pitching prospects they can trade. No offense to Lynn. No offense to Lynn, but he did say that.
This is not my. I would say this wasn't my idea. Mark Gorosh suggested this, but he said, look at other GMs, like in Seattle and San Diego. They will, when it's time to make moves, they'll make moves, and if it involves packaging together 3 or 4 guys, they'll do it. And I could see a GM doing that, where basically you've got like Soto and I don't know, Akil Baddoo and one of your minor league pitchers and something like that. It just to try to reconfigure your roster and get some guys who maybe are underappreciated or have fallen out of favor in another organization, just to move some guys around. I could see that happening.
Yeah, finding distressed assets and, like finding players who maybe aren't performing well, but you see something in them. That's like what teams like what Tampa Bay does. We need a GM that can make moves like that. To find a guy like Christian Bethancourt, who no one really has heard of him, but now he's an everyday regular for them for the Tampa Bay Rays. Moves like that, I think we haven't had a GM that has been able to pull off moves like that in a while.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time before even. Yeah.
Well, they have the payroll open. I'm sorry, they have the money. They could spend if they want to. I'm a broken record on that. I've said it before for the last couple of years, so I won't go too far down that path right now. But there's no reason they can't compete for a premium free agent if they believe they can field a winner next year. There's no reason they don't do it. But assuming they don't, because it seems like the prevailing wisdom that I hear is they won't, then yeah, you just got to trust that this new person has the trading acumen to always kind of slowly by growing, winning every trade by that little 2% margin, 3% margin, get a little better at a time, and hope eventually you stumble into the next JD Martinez in some small move you make, the guy who's ready to explode.
Yeah, it's the little moves that matter.
Yeah, that's going to add up. That's going to be something that the Tigers if they can get some average players, just some average players they can at least hit with just some. I mean,
Eric Haase, for example, he was a guy I believe they pick him off waivers or something.
Yeah, they paid money to get him. I think it was just like, here, have some money.
Yeah, so it's like moves like that, guys like that. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. So that is the end of the podcast for the week, but I wanted to end the podcast with a couple of non-baseball related stuff. Just want to get some things off my chest. First and foremost,
rest in peace to the Queen.
Yeah, rest in peace to the Queen. We did play God Save the Queen earlier by the Sex Pistols, Chris. So you missed that, but
yeah, I did. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Look, I just wanted to get on a little rant here about something, because this is the only platform I try to stay stuff off Twitter and Facebook. Truthfully, so people might think that Woodward Tigers is a full-time job. It's not. It's a part-time job, and during the day, I've worked in marketing. But recently, due to I'm not going to flat out say this guy's a dick. The guy I worked with before at a previous position decided to. So since late July, full time been looking for work. Last few weeks, I've been doing projects for some of these resumes, some of these jobs, and a couple of them, or they'll tell you, Indeed, apply for this job. We really like your resume. Then they'll tell you, oh, we're going to pass on you. Did you need some sort of quota or something? I don't understand it. Again, this is nothing to do baseball related, but this is something I just wanted to get off my chest. People who donate to the Patreon and give money and help us out, thank you. Sincerely, thank you. You rule. And I'm not trying to give anybody a guilt trip. The people that can donate is appreciated. So whenever you think of when we do this stuff, extra stuff like that, John's an intern. He's going to drive out with us tomorrow to learn how to do this. He's taking a lot of time, and he's a go-getter, and I really appreciate his attitude. People like that make me motivated to continue to do stuff like this. But I wanted to get off my chest. Job searching blows, okay? When people think, you do a podcast, and you care about your podcast. Well, I can talk marketing. I can talk all this stuff all day long. I'm just venting a little frustration because, quite frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the whole thing. And I don't care who listens. I really, and look, you get a high energy guy with me. When I'm at work, I do my work, but it's just some of these hoops are ridiculous. I had somebody who rejected me for a job and then sent me a link going, well, hey, I know someone else is hiring. So in other words, you weren't good for me to give you the offer, but here's somebody else's link.
Yeah. Something I want to say is just someone who's so young and just doesn't have much experience. it's like they want experience, they want all this, but it's like you have to have your start somewhere, and that's why I appreciate you, Rogelio, so much, because you took a chance on me, and like I appreciate it so much. But it's like you have to have your start somewhere, and I wish more people would understand that when they, it's like, well, I'll give you experience. Well, you can get some experience here. I wish more people and more employers were like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at, I mean, not to brag or anything, but look at Chris Platty, aka Sus, on heavyweights.
Hey, that's my dad.
that dude, that guy worked at SRD. He was one of my interns at SRD. He came up to me from Michigan State. He wanted to intern with us. He sat in with us every Saturday for a while. He learned a lot. Same thing with Jeremy. Jeremy, who's their audio guy, who just got hired. Another SRD intern. He was so honestly. But anyway, I feel better. Thank you for letting me vent. And our fans, everybody, again, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And Christopher, thank you for the questions tonight and putting in everything. It's been a pleasure with you having in there. And shout out to everybody else. What do you